If you've spent any time watching my shorts, you've heard me talk about why the million-dollar photo is a myth. When people demand a crystal-clear, high-definition portrait of the anomalies in our woods, they are ignoring basic camera physics. In the low light of dusk or the dead of night, phone and security camera sensors have to leave their shutters open longer to capture any light at all. If something is moving, even at a normal walking pace, that slow shutter speed turns physical reality into a soft, blurry smear. These are some of my own random, blurry shots from around the farm. In the dark, a digital lens is always going to struggle, distort, and guess. But once we accept that our technology has limits, we can stop chasing the perfect photo and start asking the real questions. What are these beings? Why are they here? Today, I want to step away from the campfire horror stories and look at the actual history, the genetics, and the leading educational theories that explain what is happening on this land, and why the popular consensus online might have it completely backward. Let's start with the most common explanation, the biological survivor theory. This is the argument that Sasquatch is a physical, flesh-and-blood hominin. For decades, researchers have analyzed physical footprint casts, pointing out dermal ridges, sweat pores, and a flexible mid-tarsal joint, features of a foot designed to carry immense weight over rough terrain. But the biological argument took a massive, controversial turn in 2013 with the publication of the Sasquatch Genome Project, led by geneticists and researchers. This study analyzed over 100 high-quality DNA samples of hair, blood, tissue, and saliva collected from across North America. When they mapped the genome, the results shocked the scientific community. The maternal mitochondrial DNA, the genetic marker passed down strictly from mother to offspring, was unambiguously modern human. It belonged to a specific female lineage that dates back roughly 15,000 years. However, the paternal nuclear DNA, the genetic blueprint from the father, was completely unknown. It didn't match humans, Neanderthals, Denisovans, or any known primate. It was a novel, highly complex hominin structure. This genetic data suggests that Sasquatch is not a wild ape, but a hybrid species. Literally our cousins, sharing a direct human maternal ancestor who survived by mastering the deep, inaccessible wilderness. Then we have the Dogman. On the internet, the popular consensus is that these upright, canine-headed figures are aggressive, terrifying monsters. But history tells a very different story. These beings are not a modern internet invention. If you look back to ancient Egypt, they depicted Anubis, a towering, upright, jackal-headed being. But Anubis wasn't a monster to them. He was a guardian, a protector of boundaries, and a guide who navigated the transition between different realms of existence. Later, Greek, Roman, and medieval explorers wrote extensively about Cynocephaly, which literally translates to dog-headed. Historical scholars like Herodotus, Pliny the Elder, and even Marco Polo documented entire populations of upright, dog-headed people living on the frontiers of the known world. They wrote that these populations were communicative, organized, and lived within their own social structures. They weren't viewed as mindless beasts, but as another resident of the earth. Yes, their sheer size, speed, and physical presence can absolutely terrify someone who isn't expecting them. But in my personal experience out here on my own land, they aren't looking to cause harm. They show a deep, quiet curiosity. They are watchful, highly observant, and they clearly serve a purpose in the natural order of these woods. I've always advocated that they aren't all monsters. The word monster is defined by actions, not physical appearance, and let's be honest, humans are entirely capable of being monsters too. Out here on the farm, I've learned that respect is a two-way street. If you don't approach these woods with hostility, fear, or a desire to hunt, they tend to return that same peace. They are simply watchful neighbors, living out their purpose. This brings us to the most fascinating detail of all, one that completely breaks the popular internet narrative. Out here, they seem to mingle and coexist just fine with the Sasquatch. If you read online forums, people love to debate which creature would win in a fight, assuming they must be bitter rivals. But the reality on the ground is much more sophisticated. They share this space. They communicate, they coordinate, and they navigate these hills together. To explain this harmony, some researchers point to ancient history and the Nephilim theory, found in historical and biblical texts like the Book of Enoch. These accounts describe ancient hybrid lineages born from a union of the earthly and the divine. Under this view, both Sasquatch and Dogman are surviving, displaced remnants of these ancient lineages, fulfilling a long-forgotten protective purpose on the landscape. Other researchers point to the multidimensional theory. If these beings are capable of slipping between physical dimensions or operating on a frequency our eyes and cameras struggle to register, it explains how they can coexist without competing for resources. In standard biology, two massive apex predators cannot share the exact same territory without exhausting the food supply. But if they aren't bound by our strict three-dimensional rules, if they can cross in and out of our physical bandwidth, they aren't competing. They are part of a shared, highly sophisticated system working in harmony with the land itself. We don't need a $1 million crystal-clear photograph to know there is a peaceful, ancient order to these woods. The raw, blurry glimpses we get are just a reminder of how small our perspective really is. When we stop looking at the woods with fear and start offering the respect we wish to receive, we can finally begin to understand the neighbors we share this frontier with. Keep watching, look past the obvious, and stay safe out there.